Bilateral talks between New Zealand and Niue this week is looking positive. That is according to Honourable Premier Toke Talangi. Honourable Talangi said the discussions on the support from its partner New Zealand is very positive.
I think they're progressing very well. We've agreed in principle to splitting the allocation given to us, the funds given to us by New Zealand, into two portions, one budget support and projects. I'm pleased about that because we've been trying to do that for some time now. And I'm pleased that New Zealand and we have agreed to do that because it helps us manage our resources better than what we have been able to with respect to budget support and so on. We're also happy with the fact that they're more interested now in a simple report that we provide. Because we do have reports, of course, that we provide New Zealand, our financial reports, our auditor reports and so on. Those are the key reports that we ourselves require for ourselves, but we can provide them to them and so on. So we had a 3-year arrangement with New Zealand, and for the next 2 years it's $26 million. We've agreed on about $14 million for this year and $12 million for next year and so on. So that's a split. And the split from that is about 10 and 14 and 4, million dollars.
What are some of the views of the development here on the island? There's a lot of focus also by the government in the business and trade area.
Well, I think they're very pleased with the way that we have dispersed some of the funding to help our small businesses and so on. They see that as a positive sign that in fact people are very interested, that we're not tied up in bureaucracy in the way that we think businesses do need help. And the last thing we want to do at the present moment is create bureaucracies that will hamper their ability to in fact expand or to purchase equipment and so on. And that's part of the reasons why we've done that.
He explained the new changes for the support and the relationship with New Zealand.
I think there's a degree of maturity in the relationship now that we have in New Zealand. That it's starting to look like and becoming more of a partnership rather than what it was previously. And I'm much happy with the direction that it's taken. I suppose the other thing that has resulted from the bilaterals is the fact that we're still, ourselves and New Zealand also agreed that tourism will continue to be the focus and driver of the economy. We had agreed a three-year allocation and there's $26 million left. So we're split at 12, 14 and 12 for next year and so on. What we need to do is now look at the next 3 years or 5 years, and we'll already started some discussions, preliminary discussions on that.
And how's the future looking for Niue and New Zealand?
I think it's excellent. I think our relationship with New Zealand has become a real partnership, and I'm very pleased with the way that the New Zealand government, John Key and in particular Murray McCully and Jonathan Kings and his team who have been here.
Premier Talangi said the future for the two countries look promising, and he is pleased with the reaction from its main bilateral partner towards the island's progress thus far. Staying with the bilateral talks this week, the second Tuesday flight that serves the island fortnightly is about to end. Honourable Premier Talangi said the service is due to end shortly. However, there are plans in place for next June.
Yes, that's going to end in October, and it's going to resume again in next year, as I've seen, but 2 flights a week.
When will that be officially announced?
As soon as we finalise negotiations with the New Zealand. We need to make sure that we're not going to create a situation where we could end up paying money. This year, I don't think we're going to pay any money at all again, so the underwrite's not going to be called upon. But next year with 2 flights, we're going to have to be very careful in the way that we calculate these things and ensure that in fact we don't place ourselves in a position of risk to the point that it's going to cost us more than what it should.
The determination, though, would mean a need for more accommodation, and Premier Talangi said the focus now is to discuss with accommodation providers the possibilities of expansion.
Tourism will continue to be the focus and driver of the economy, and we will be looking at building more accommodation facilities, because we are looking at possibilities of a weekly flight, 2 weekly flights next year as from June. Though we haven't confirmed that as yet, and we're still finalising our negotiations with Air New Zealand to do something like that. It really is hinging on those negotiations to determine whether we will go to 2 flights a week. It's also hinging on our ability to provide more accommodation between now and June. So we've allocated some resources to enable us to ask the current accommodation providers to see whether they can in fact do that. As well as that, we're also looking at accelerating our developments of the village developments that we have been talking about. On a separate note, Marabai is also looking at expanding, but that's possibly not going to happen next year or possibly the year after. But what we do need at the present moment to ensure that the second weekly flight is viable is to build at least up to 20 rooms.
Tourist numbers have increased in leaps in the last couple of years, and US position to attract more for the next tourist season also look positive. Awards for Young Farmers, Young Fishermen and Ultimate Young Farmer and Fisher of the Year are up for grabs in a new initiative from the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. The pending awards will be announced in October, but this is a different approach to encourage youth and due recognition for those who contribute to food security. This is the first of what will hopefully be an ongoing process to recognize their hard work.
We are looking at making it an ongoing thing. So it's the first time that we've actually put up this award. So like I said, it's to promote youth in agriculture, but it's something we want to have ongoing every year, and it would be recognized at World Food Day, which also is run in conjunction with National Show Day and Constitution. And we want to give young farmers the recognition that they deserve. We will be looking in the future to extend these awards. So the categories would be Young Farmer, also a more generalised Farmer of the Year. Just as I said, to make sure that farmers are getting the recognition that they deserve, because they're working hard and often they're overlooked for what they're actually doing for all of us. And so it's all about recognition.
The concept behind the awards is also to recognize that there is more to agriculture, such as food security and potential career pathways or income generating, which is something they hope the younger generation will realize.
One of the department's objectives is to encourage youth to come back into agriculture, to not only to continue with to strengthen our cultural and traditions, but also food security as well. As you know, our farmers are getting older, with the average age being over 60 years old. So we're trying to encourage youth to look at agriculture as a career option. It's not something that's just to fall back on. It's actually something that you can actually work towards, and you can help the environment, you can help your family, and continue to strengthen your culture and tradition as well.
Nominations close this coming Friday. However, agriculture staff are not eligible to be nominated. The awards will be presented on the 18th of October during the World Food Day program organised by DAF. 8 young people are here with a mission to share their Christian faith in fellowship with youth and communities on the island. The group are here as part of YWAM, a global movement of Christians from many cultures and age groups who unite with a common purpose to know God and make Him known. Established back in 1960, the focus is to get youth involved in missions, and this particular group is made up of members from Samoa, Hawaii and America. Iglesia Niue Focal Point Reverend Aifolia Pomale says that they are here for 6 weeks, and a request was received by the Niue Iglesia to assist. Reverend Bomale says there are opportunities for young people from Niue to join these missions, but perhaps this is an area that will need to be further investigated to see how youth can also benefit and be part of these character-building missions. The group are due to depart in November, but in the meanwhile, they will be staying alternately in Tuapa and Hakupu. We'll bring you more on this story in our future news bulletin as we catch up with the group. And to end our news bulletin for this evening, a golden day was had by all on Saturday at the Alofi North Annual Show Day. The village preparation leading up to the actual event included a fishing competition and women's handcraft shows a week earlier. With Village Show Days a common site for displays, Alofi North kept up the tradition with an array of agricultural products and the best-looking ungas on display. Tourists and show patrons alike commented on the diverse products on display and the food stalls. The theme for the women this year is a large woven placemat or lily, which presenter Mokatano commends the talent by the women of the village. A challenge also was presented to Premier Honourable Toki Talangi with a tie-dye pyro to visit the marine, which the village has benefited much from over the years. Needless to say, the increase of village council funds from the government was well received by the village council chair, Tutuli Haka, and his committee. Even though all good things end, the various dance performance is always a favourite for patrons, with the village teen beauty pageant winner Lady Beth Powell showcasing a traditional favourite. The youth of the village also display why Alofi North is known for their talents in performance and a very rare appearance of a Maori Poi performance. Heat up the afternoon, much to the enjoyment of the crowd. The one performance people always sure to remember, led by Village Member of Parliament, Honourable Wainga Tupitonga, belted out some beautiful tunes with her ukulele and the beautiful ladies of Tamaha Tawa Alofi North. That's our news bulletin for tonight. Good evening.